Hey there. I think I'm achieving a little bit of mental clarity today, this morning specifically. So I know you're going to get some value out of this. So let me just go ahead and share my screen and explain some of this stuff with you here because it's been valuable to me. So let's get into it. Now, what I'm thinking, and to kind of set the scene a little bit, is I have been in business now for like 6, 7 years. Some of you guys less, some of you guys more probably that are watching this. And I don't know why the hell I haven't like fully wrapped my brain around what business actually is or how to go about doing business like in the proper way. And I'm currently in a bit of a like an ebb. Is ebb the down or the flow? The flow is good, right? And the ebb is the low. I don't know. But anyway, I'm in a little bit of like a shitty spot mentally with a lot of it, and I don't like it. And the way that I normally work out of those things is kind of like step back, achieve some clarity, and then dive back in and like fix the problems that I need and just stuff like that. So, what I'm doing today is I am consulting with ChatGPT and I'm re envisioning a little bit of my notion. I have two main entities that I deal with. I have Samansky Media and I have Motive 11. There are two different entities that are kind of like intertwined in a way, but that's my personal setup. Yours might just be one. You might have more. I don't know. You may be different. Doesn't really matter. I'm not going to be talking. This is a little bit of documentation, but it's more like education, honestly, in this case. This is me trying to understand business and how like the business cycle and how like again this document here like how I've titled with the help of ChatGPT and like brainstorming some of this how business works. Okay, like I'm trying to simplify it a little bit because I've complicated the fuck out of it for a very long time, and this could probably be more simple, but this is just my current iteration and I'm happy with this because it gives me a lot of clarity. Little bit more context: when I started in business, like I didn't go to business school. I didn't really know how to do business. I just knew that you make money from business and a lot of, potentially a lot of us, we start with a skill, which is really a shitty way to start in business, actually, if you think about it, because you just have something that you can do and then you ask for money in exchange for doing that thing. And that's not really like how business works. It's not just about the skill. It's not just about like if you look at this out, let me skip ahead for a second, right? I'll go through this whole thing. It's like you're really good at this step right here, and you're going to try to build the whole business around one step effectively. It's not really a great way to go about building a business. So I've been living that life for a very long time, and I've been living it in multiple ways, like building websites or doing ads or managing websites or doing content or what have you. Like I mean, it's I've lived that life, and I just don't like it. So I'm doing something about it. Maybe you will too. But how business works, okay? This is what I've pretty much come up with because I had this didn't look like this 20 minutes ago. This was a little different and I've tried to do this a little different time, but this was just a bunch of random Notion docs kind of thrown in here. Still not perfect, but it's on the right track. My first thought was, okay, hey, listen. I don't know if I'm going to have a business as big as Amazon one day, probably not, but I want to operate as if I am not just one person. And I am building the team out a little bit more now. But like, in order to get to that point, I'd like to think that way. So then I can compartmentalize things and then I can hand those things off as I grow. And I don't know why I haven't done that to this point, but here we are. So the first thing was like, all right, what are departments? I'll show you, like, I'll kind of explain how this kind of goes. What are the departments of a business? Well, you have some sort of leadership or vision, and then you have marketing, and then you have sales, and then you have delivery, ops, finance, people, HR, whatever. The names don't really matter, but the actual the buckets do. So you have that, and you can split your different, like again, in this case it's just documents, but you can split your like different hats, right? At any point in my time of building this business, like I maybe subconsciously did that, but now I want to be like more conscientious about doing that. Like, okay, this is a marketing task, this is a sales task, and it's like there's a little bit of a process to it. So I started there. That's not super exciting. This was more the breakthrough part. It was like when I realized that, okay, there's these departments, that's great, but that's kind of just categorizing. I need a better like flow of like how this should work. And this is pretty much what I've come up with. And I like the question format specifically as well, because it kind of gives me an idea of what I need to ask when I'm in that mode. So like the first one is vision, right? And you could just like if maybe you're somebody that hasn't even started a business yet. You just have a skill or whatever, again, like, like I did, so many of us did. And and you're just like, where do I start? Well, this is actually a really good framework. Okay. So, vision. What do we do? Who do we do it for? And why does it matter? These are high level questions that I love answering, right? Like, what problems are we solving? Who exactly do we serve, et cetera. If you can answer these questions, then you could at least like start to think about a business. And I'm not telling you that I have the answers to these questions because I only have like a slight vision of what I want to do in both of these entities that I have. And I need to stew on this. I came up like I didn't come up with this, but I brainstormed into this format, this thing like 15 minutes ago. So this is very new for me, and probably possibly very new for you. So there's vision. Then the next thing is branding, right? And branding is like, how do we look? How do we sound? How do we feel? Now, to me, I think maybe you could interchange these two. I kind of went back and forth with ChatGPT. I was like, is this really the best order? And it's like, yeah, for some whatever. So like you could probably interchange these two a little bit, but like branding is, and I'm not talking like hire somebody to do a bunch of branding. Like you can if you're in that position, but I'm saying you need to have some sort of an identity. It could be your personal brand. It could be like an entity that you build. It could be whatever, but like what are you even trying to do? Who are you trying to do it for? Like have some level of an idea, which is a big problem for me because I never had a direct audience, and then brand it as such. So how do you look, sound, feel? Again, identity, obviously logos, colors, shit like that, but like something like that. Then this is a big fucking problem for me because I've never had like a solid like resellable offer. Like it's always been very smoke and mirrors, and this is something that I absolutely have to deal with. So maybe you deal with this as well. Offers. So the next one is, you know, after you've kind of looked and feel like this is who we are and this is what we stand for, da da da. Now it's like we need an offer. We need something to sell, and at what price? And again, like I don't know. I didn't read all these questions like extremely word for word, but it should probably be like in my mind, it could be like a service, yes, but I want it to be more like a productized service because I really think you absolutely need to get there at some point. It should be like not all custom from the start. It's really hard, in my opinion. Maybe you're better than me. It's really hard to sell like a custom thing every single time from the start. It is just like extremely taxing and just like unscalable to do that. And I've just fucked that up for so long. So then you need like offers to go along with these other things, right? And again, all this stuff piggybacks, but this piggybacks directly off of like, who do we do it for? And then you just put that together. And really, it's like, if you have a good solid idea here, then you pretty much just say, okay, this is this skill that we're going to apply, and this is how much we're going to charge for it. And then that's it. Right. And then it's okay. Well, now we have those. Well, what do we do next? Well, now we have to get people to be interested in it. Now, this is a huge one, obviously, marketing in a way. And this is where I feel like us in, if you're watching in like a digital industry or, maybe you build websites, you do whatever, like this is kind of the whole thing for us, but it's really just lead generation as well. It's like this is actually, to me, I like the way that this is structured because I don't really think marketing and branding are the same thing. I think branding obviously is like your identity, and then marketing is actually, you already have all that shit, and marketing is just, even though a lot of companies like marketing is branding, and a lot of times like marketing is actually lead gen, really is what it is. Or lead gen is at least part of marketing, and it's like the main focal point. How do we communicate, the offer and our branding and our vision to other people so we generate leads? That's literally what that is. So a lot of times I just think I get blended so much. I've gotten blended in all this before, and it's really bad. So then how do you market this stuff? Perfect. Okay. Well, oh, don't do that. Notion. Thank you. Don't. Oh, okay. Okay. No. Okay, Notion AI was going crazy there. Then you go to sales, right? So sales is where you actually, now you have interest, right? And it's like sales is just kind of the whole motion of how do we convert the interest into revenue, which again, if you've sold anything, you've done sales. But what is your actual like, and I'm not a full expert on like the sales process, but like the marketing and the sales, like like right in this middle part is like, you're creating trust and awareness and stuff like that in the market. But you're also, this is a bad part for me. I've definitely sold stuff. I've definitely closed people. But if you're really good in, I know this is just a line right here, but right here is where you're like building a funnel. It's a, overplayed word, but I'm saying you're building like a bridge for them to get from not knowing you to literally paying you, right? And I have been so bad at this in multiple ways because I haven't made offers, and then I haven't built the fucking bridge for them to walk over to hand me the money. And this is where you get messed up, right? Because hypothetically, right? Let me just deviate slightly for a second. If you're somebody potentially like me, especially in the agency world, where traditionally I have just relied on like referral, you actually don't really have any of this. I mean, maybe you have like kind of an offer, but you probably don't like you don't really have this. Depending, you probably don't have this. Maybe you have like some level of branding. Okay, that's kind of easy, but you probably don't really have any marketing. And your offer might be, at least in my opinion or in my experience, it's weak because it's not attracting anybody, and it's probably not the same every time. Because most of the time, how many times do you get like referrals for the same thing, unless you're actually in an industry, and then maybe at that point, you know, I'm generalizing here. I'm not saying that everybody that's doing referral based businesses is abandoning all these things. But my point in saying this is when you're right here, when you're right in this phase as you're getting to sales, if a lot of this is coming in from not from like your marketing, but from more like, referral or whatever, then you probably potentially just do really, really good work, which is not a bad thing because I think I do really good work. And I know you probably do really good work. But the problem is if you only do really good work and you don't do any of this other shit, then you're going to be doing really good work for the rest of your fucking life. And you're not going to like do anything else because there's nothing else to like drive this. The delivery is important, right? The product, the service, it is paramount in your business. But it can't be the only fucking thing. And I've lived in this world where it's I literally just don't have all these other processes. So this is exactly why I'm sharing this. So then yeah, so once you have sales, okay, and when you see this, it makes total sense too. It's just like, why the hell haven't I been doing this? I don't know. But anyway, so then you're in sales, okay, and once you sell something, you like that's the process of obviously getting them from interest to purchasing, and then once you're done there, okay, well now you have the money, great, obvious, high five, great. But the work's not over because you just have the money, and now you have to deliver. So how do we fulfill that reliably? Again, most people that I talk to have this one figured out. Like maybe you're not like the best web developer in the world as an example, but you have that part figured out. And it's funny because that is the whole part, but that is like again the most important part, but the other parts are so important like for the whole business. This is just like building a job. And I don't want to do that anymore personally. You do whatever you want. But yeah, so that's the funny thing is like that's like, oh, that should be so hard. It's like, no, that's where we all started. It's kind of funny. So yeah, so that one honestly doesn't even need an explaining. It's just like do the shit. Like you said you were going to do something, just fulfill it and then great. Now obviously I'm generalizing there too. Things could happen, but it's pretty that simple. And then ops. So like how do we keep the internal systems like working efficiently? Now I'm gonna again give a little bit of a story here, or like some introspection, reflection, and kind of go back to this. I thought when I started that I was really into ops. I thought like I wanted to be like I loved operations, and I'm trying to think of. I actually need to go back to ChatGPT probably and think about this a little bit more. Why was I the way that I was when I started out? When I started out, I really loved like starting businesses up, like doing all of the maybe it was branding sort of in a way. I loved setting up the socials. I loved like kind of like putting together like simple logos. I love the idea of starting a business. Now maybe that's just because that's exciting too. But I thought from that I was like ops. Like I thought I was like I would want to do operations. I wanted to be like almost like a COO type thing. I was trying to like understand myself. I don't really think that's the case. I think with ops, what you're actually trying to do is kind of like I don't even like I was thinking too, even as I was doing this, like, can you have is ops really make sense to be like this low on the thing? Well, it kind of does. Because if you don't have any of the other shit, then you don't have any processes. You don't have you have to go and do a lot of this stuff before you can like automate it, delegate it, process, it or whatever. And I think for me, this does make sense. Like this is when you get to the point where like, okay, some of this stuff is working now. Now we can like see how we're gonna, make it efficient and keep it moving. And then obviously finance is pretty straightforward. It's like, you're handling money and you're tracking results of that and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, again, if you've ever taken money from anybody, you probably have some level of like idea of how much money you're taking. Again, not saying, we're all fantastic at it, but that's relatively self-explanatory. And then people is just how do we continue to build it further and sustain? Because again, I was really worried for a long time. I'm not worried anymore because I've just done and implemented. But like, you cannot get here if you just do this. Like, I'm speaking from personal experience. You cannot get to this level. Like, you can barely get to this level because you don't have any time or energy or whatever to because you're just doing everything. So I've just had to take like like an immense like recalibration. And you've seen this through the videos on the second channel here. You've seen this through other stuff that I've done. Like I've just needed to change my mindset on business because I have absolutely not been doing stuff the way that I feel like I need to from a businessman or woman perspective, right? Like that's just what I feel like. And this is extremely eye-opening and it helps me so much because again, you look at this is one of those things you look at and you know it makes sense and you know each one independently like on their own if you were in like a conversation talking about them. But until like me, like the way my mind works, I just need to see it in order and I need to have like a path and a process for it. And I think this is going to be helpful because now what I need to do is basically reframe my businesses based off of these things. I almost need to like we have a little bit of a foundation made, but now we need to recalibrate based on this thing. So this has been helpful. And again, this all started literally just from like redoing some of my Notion things. I was like literally redoing the content planner and the sponsored deliverables and stuff because like I have a ton of stuff that I want to like I had this all changed and everything. And Notion's really cool. I mean, if you're into, database relations and stuff like that. Like, I have all these ideas and then I had all this sponsored content, stuff like that that I had in here. But like, that's a whole nother topic for a different video. Let me know if you want to hear more about it. But it's just like, you got to put your stuff at the forefront of what you're doing. And, maybe you've seen that through the content that I put out. It's good, bad, it's indifferent. Like, occasionally some things are better than others. And I just like, that was where it all started. But then that led to broader business thoughts. And that's where this led me to here. And honestly, this is a win in and of itself for today. I know this is really helpful for me. If you guys watch this, I know I'm confident it'll be helpful for you. And, yeah. I'm trying to think if I can share this with you somehow. Probably. I'll put a little link in the description or whatever if you want to grab this. But that's all I got. Hopefully, if you are in business, hopefully you're already doing this. Hopefully you're just watching this just to support me. Appreciate you. Um, but if you haven't looked at this or you haven't seen something like this before, hopefully implement it because I think it could be really helpful for you. That's all I got. I'll talk to you in the next one.